Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered how something as tiny as a single letter change in our DNA can completely alter a person's life, while a missing chromosome can shape an entire set of physical features? Today we are going to explore the fascinating spectrum of genetic diseases. Genetic disorders exist on a wide dashboard of complexity. At one end, we have chromosomal structures, where entire chromosomes are added, missing, exchanged, or deleted. In trisomy, an extra chromosome is present, as seen in Down syndrome. In monosomy, a chromosome is missing, as seen in Turner syndrome. Translocation happens when segments of chromosomes exchange places, which is seen in chronic myeloid leukemia, and deletion occurs when a segment goes missing altogether, as in Cray-Duchat syndrome. Moving to the molecular level, we have the gene mutation spectrum. A point mutation is a single base change, like the one causing sickle cell disease. Insertion or deletion mutations cause a frame shift effect, as seen in cystic fibrosis. And copy number variations affect gene dosage, which is linked to conditions on the autism spectrum. Beyond genetics alone, environmental triggers and epigenetics also play a role. DNA methylation and histone modification can silence genes or change chromatin structure, and external factors like chemical exposure, lifestyle, diet, and pathogens can all influence how susceptible a person is to disease. To understand this better, we can think of genetic disorders on a complexity scale, moving from microscopic to macroscopic. Chromosomal anomalies represent absolute determinism, where massive structural errors occur in the genetic blueprint with an incidence of about 5.6 per 1000 live births. Mendelian diseases are like typographical errors, single gene mutations that follow predictable inheritance rules, accounting for about 1% of live births. Blood group genetics represents systemic interactions involving immune incompatibilities based on inherited phenotypic tags. And multifactorial disorders reflect environmental susceptibility, where complex traits require external activation from lifestyle, diet, or age. Let us begin with chromosomal anomalies related to sex chromosomes. These abnormalities usually arise from a process called non-disjunction. During normal meiosis, chromosomes split evenly, but during non-disjunction, one cell ends up with an extra chromosome written as n plus 1, while the other cell is left with one less, written as n minus 1. Globally, the total incidence of chromosomal aneuploidy is about 5.6 per 1000 live births, with sex aneuploidies contributing about 2 per 1000. Autosomal aneuploidies about 1.7 per 1000, and chromosomal translocations about 1.9 per 1000. Unlike single gene defects, these chromosomal aberrations are largely sporadic and not inherited from parents. Now let us look at the sex chromosome aneuploidy matrix in detail. Klinefelter syndrome occurs in genotypes like XXY or XXXY, affecting about 1 in 1000 males, and presents with features like unicoid body build, non functional testes, absent sperm, scanty body hair, breast enlargement, and mental retardation. XYY syndrome also affects about 1 in 1000 males and is associated with exceptional height above 6 feet, along with personality disorders that may lead to aggressive behavior, although the relationship remains clinically debated. Turner syndrome occurs in the XO genotype, affecting about 1 in 7,500 live born girls, though 98% of affected pregnancies spontaneously abort. Features include short stature, infertility, absence of periods, narrowing of the aorta, pulmonary stenosis, and kidney malformations. And super females with genotypes like XXX, XXX, or XXXX show congenital abnormalities of the genitalia, uterus, or vagina. And the severity of mental retardation increases directly with the number of extra X chromosomes. Next, Let us move to chromosomal anomalies related to autosomes, with Down syndrome being the classic example. Down syndrome, or trisomy 21, was discovered by Langdon Down in 1866. It presents with a small round head, narrow tilted eye slits, malformed ears, short broad hands, lax limbs, short stature, internal cardiac defects, and atresia of the alimentary tract. There is a strong correlation with maternal age. At age 20, the risk is about 1 in 3000, but by age 45, the risk rises sharply to about 1 in 50. Interestingly, paternal age has no statistical effect on this risk. Autosomal monosomies, on the other hand, are exceedingly rare because the loss of an entire autosome is generally fatal, resulting in the non survival of the fertilized egg. Now, let us shift our focus to Mendelian diseases, which follow predictable inheritance rules. In autosomal recessive inheritance, when both parents are carriers, there is a 25% chance the child will be healthy, a 50% chance the child will be a carrier, and a 25% chance the child will be affected. This can occur sporadically even in outwardly normal parents. In X linked inheritance, using hemophilia as a model, if an affected male has children with a normal female, all daughters become carriers while all sons are normal. But if a carrier female has children with a normal male, 50% of daughters become carriers and 50% of sons are affected. Overall, combined Mendelian disorders affect about 1% of live births, with the current catalogue listing 793 autosomal dominant, 629 autosomal recessive, and 123 sex linked traits. Looking at the Mendelian mechanism matrix, sickle cell anemia is autosomal recessive caused by a DNA point mutation producing hemoglobin S, affecting red blood cells and causing hemolytic anemia. Thalassemias are also autosomal recessive, caused by either deletions in the alpha chain or point mutations in the beta chain, affecting hemoglobin production and causing microcytic anemia. Cystic fibrosis is autosomal recessive, caused by a single gene defect identified in 1989, affecting the respiratory and gastrointestinal tracts. Phenylketonuria, or PKU, is autosomal recessive, caused by a deficiency of the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, leading to neurological damage from toxic brain accumulation. And hemophilia is sex linked recessive, caused by a deficiency in blood coagulating factors, affecting the vascular and musculoskeletal systems. Let us now explore blood group and disease, starting with the sickle cell profile. At the molecular level, a normal red blood cell becomes sickled due to a high concentration of hemoglobin S. This is an autosomal recessive point mutation. Heterozygous individuals remain healthy, but homozygous individuals suffer acute anemia, often fatal before puberty without treatment. Symptoms include enlarged liver, an enlarged heart with systolic murmurs, non healing ulcers, and delayed puberty. Sickle cell disease is prevalent among black populations, showing a strong geographic correlation with malaria resistant zones. The carrier rate is about 8% among American blacks, and the disease rate is about 1 in 400 births. Fetal DNA screening allows for prenatal diagnosis. Thalassemias are hypochromic microcytic anemias caused by reduced synthesis of globin chains, leading to defective hemoglobin formation. Clinical signs typically emerge after 6 months of age when the body switches from fetal hemoglobin to adult hemoglobin. In the alpha branch, the mechanism is a gene deletion, reducing alpha globin synthesis, mostly affecting Asian populations. And in severe cases, heterozygous parents risk producing an infant with hydrops fetalis. In the beta branch, the mechanism is point mutations rather than large deletions, mostly affecting Mediterranean populations, and heterozygous parents risk producing a severely affected homozygous child. Looking at timelines and diagnostics, cystic fibrosis was historically fatal before age 5, but with modern treatment in developed countries, life expectancy now extends to 30 to 40 years or more. Incidence ranges from 2.5 to 5 per 10,000 live births in European populations and is less common in black populations and rare among Asians. Unfortunately, up to 95% of cases in Latin America go undiagnosed, capping life expectancy at around 10 years. For phenylketonuria, bottle fed infants are tested more than 438 hours after starting formula, while breastfed infants are tested at 7 days due to lower initial protein intake from breast milk. Incidence is about 1 in 10,000 births. The condition arises from an inability to convert phenylalanine to tyrosine, leading to toxic brain buildup and mental retardation. Blood tests are now highly preferred over urine tests for earlier detection. Hemophilia leads to a deficient coagulating factor, causing prolonged bleeding, hemorrhaging in large joints, and eventually progressive joint disease and muscle atrophy. Looking at the historical shift in mortality causes, in the past, the foremost cause of death was hemorrhage, especially cranial bleeding. In the recent decade, plasma derivative therapies controlled bleeding, but unfortunately introduced fatal secondary infections like AIDS and hepatitis induced liver disease. In the present stage, patients avoiding secondary infections now match the life expectancy of the general population. Epidemiologically, hemophilia affects 15 to 20 out of every 100,000 males, with around 420,000 global cases. It occurs equally across all ethnic groups, and females carry the gene but are rarely or only mildly affected. Now let us understand the genotype phenotype lookup map for blood groups. The recessive O gene leads to blood group O, with the genotype OO making up about 40% of the population and having no antigens on red blood cells. The codominant A and B genes combine to form blood group A, with genotypes AA or AO making up about 22%, carrying antigen A. Blood group B with genotypes BB or BO makes up about 33%, carrying antigen B. And blood group AB with genotype AB makes up about 5%, carrying both antigen A and antigen B. Beyond transfusions, blood grouping also provides essential evidence for determining true parentage and confirming identical twin status. Different blood groups also carry different systemic vulnerabilities. Group O, the recessive group, shows a high association with duodenal and gastric ulcers, a general vulnerability to increased hemolytic tendencies, but interestingly, rheumatic heart disease is heavily associated with a lack of Group O, suggesting a protective trait. Group A, the codominant group, shows a high association with stomach cancer, cervical carcinoma, and pernicious anemia, along with a general vulnerability to thrombosis. Specifically, Group A women using oral contraceptives face a demonstrably greater risk of thrombotic episodes compared to Group O women. Let us now look at the rhesus system architecture. At the cellular level, the rhesus system is governed by three linked genes C, D, and E. The D antigen is the most potent. Possessing it makes a person rhesus positive, while lacking it makes them rhesus negative. Rhesus antigens can develop as early as a 38-day-old fetus. Looking at global demographics, Northern Europe and North America show about 85% rhesus positive individuals, while India shows an even higher demographic, at about 93% rhesus positive. This brings us to the erythroblastosis causal loop. It begins with a mismatch where an rhesus negative mother carries an rhesus positive fetus. This leads to sensitization, where fetal red cells cross the placenta into the maternal circulation, acting as a foreign antigen. The mother's body then responds with antibody production, generating strong saline antibodies and weaker albumin antibodies, known as 7S gamma globulins. Finally, in the strike phase, these gamma globulins cross the placental barrier back into the fetus, destroying fetal red blood cells. The clinical outcome can be severe, resulting in the fetus being killed in the womb, causing miscarriage, or less severe, resulting in an infant born with rhesus hemolytic disease, showing jaundice, anemia, and swelling. Now let us move to the multifactorial seesaw. In multifactorial disorders, genetic factors act as a blueprint of risk, but they often require specific environmental conditions to activate the abnormality. There are certain clinical red flags that suggest a genetic predisposition. These include early onset of the condition, similarly affected parents or siblings, occurrence in the less commonly affected sex, such as coronary heart disease appearing in women, and a high incidence within specific ethnic groups. For example, spina bifida is 40 times more frequent in Caucasians and the Irish compared to Asians. Looking at multifactorial paradigms in oncology and coronary heart disease, genetic predisposition is involved in about 10 to 25% of breast and colon cancers. Looking ahead, familial cancer syndromes such as familial polyposis coli, non-polyposis colon cancer, and thyroid cancers are driving the development of tailored DNA screening tests and targeted chemoprevention. Coronary heart disease was historically viewed purely as an environmental disease, but the modern view recognizes that high blood pressure and high cholesterol are deeply influenced by genetics. Mapping the human genome now allows for preemptive lifestyle counseling and drug treatment based on individual genetic risk profiles. Finally, let us look at multifactorial paradigms in diabetes and mental illness. For diabetes, the genetic concordance for insulin dependent diabetes shows 25 to 30% for identical twins, than 5 to 10% correlation in non identical twins. The non insulin dependent diabetes makes up about 85% of cases in developed countries and features a notoriously strong familial tendency. Future horizons include gene therapy and pancreatic tissue transplantation. For mental disorders like Alzheimer's disease, the most common form of senile dementia, there is a profound familial tendency, known to be caused by the interaction of at least 4 different genes. The goal moving forward is identifying these genetic triggers to develop drugs that prevent or delay onset. To summarize everything we have covered, chromosomal aberrations represent macrostructural changes involving missing or extra whole chromosomes, are rarely inherited, and are best represented by conditions like Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, and Klinefelter syndrome. Mendelian diseases represent micromolecular changes involving single gene point mutations or deletions following highly predictable inheritance patterns, and are best represented by sickle cell disease, cystic fibrosis, PKU, hemophilia, and thalassemia. And multifactorial disorders represent macroscopic, systemic, and environmental influences involving complex polygenic blueprints triggered by lifestyle and environment, and are best represented by coronary heart disease, cancers, diabetes, and Alzheimer's disease. From absolute genetic determinism to environmental susceptibility, mapping the genome transforms complex disease from an inevitable fate into a manageable risk. Hope you have understood about the genetic disease spectrum. Please like, subscribe for more easy to understand public health and epidemiology videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.